Welcome to the first ever episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. All of us here at Aero Truck Sales are so excited to be bringing you this show. We know that we can't have success at Aero without the success of the people who purchase their trucks here. So we decided to start a show that will entertain and educate drivers on what makes a successful driver. You'll be hearing from our connections from all over the trucking industry about what they think makes a successful driver and how they can help drivers become successful. And there's no person I would rather be kicking this thing off with than my dear pal here at Aero. He is the director of training and development here at Aero. He's had a lot of hats in this company, and I can't wait to talk a little bit about that background with him. I think it's going to be a really fun, first guy to talk to. That's Seth Penn. Seth, my friend, thank you so much for coming on the first ever episode. I think you should feel special personally.
Absolutely. I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, man. Oh, absolutely. I was really excited to talk to you specifically. And one of the things that we're going to do on this show every single week is we're going to ask two questions to start the show. And the first one is, what makes a successful driver? Why don't you tell us, Seth, what do you think, in your opinion, from your perspective and your experiences, makes a successful driver?
Well, Kent, I got to be honest with you. I've never been a driver. So, all I know is what our customers have told me. And from what they've told me, all I know is I have the deepest respect for what they do. I mean, there's a lot of hats out there, and I could never do it. To juggling, especially being an owner-operator, going from a company driver where everything is kind of like, handled behind the scenes, to all of a sudden taking that risk from W-2 land to 1099 land. Mm-hmm. That's big. Starting a company, a mobile business, that's a big risk too. And not just that, but it's not just the truck, obviously. And of course, that's what we sell. And so we focus there, but it's not just the truck. It's everything you have to do to make sure you're legal, the compliance, the haul source, making sure that you're running the right, in the right region where you want to be, and making sure that you have consistent work, all of that. And then you have to also, a lot of times, worry about paying the bills from out on the road. I mean, just the mindset you'd have to have. And then, oh, by the way, when your child has a baseball game that you might be 1,000 miles away from them, it's challenging, and I have the deepest respect for someone that can just get out there and do that to support their family, and knowing that they're sacrificing so much being on the road sometimes. I mean, it's a tough go of it, and anybody that says otherwise they just don't understand it, I don't think.
No, for sure. This is such a difficult, demanding industry. And, we get exposed to a lot of truck drivers that, what they're able to accomplish with all the adversity that they have to deal with that on the road. It's so inspiring. And we try to help drivers as much as we can here at Aero Truck Sales. That's part of our job. Like I said, we can't have success as a company, and we aren't successful as a company if the people that we are able to sell trucks to, who we earn the respect and the opportunity to sell those trucks to, don't have success. So what do you think your job is, or what do you think you do that helps, helps these drivers find success, I guess?
I wear it. I guess what gets me out of bed every morning, the thing that kind of gives me a lot of passion, is to know that when they do come to us as a dealer, this is the beginning of a story. This is the beginning of a journey, and we get to be part of that. Mm-hmm. And so what I try to do, and what we all try to do, and our aim as a company, is try to remove every bullet out of that chamber. Everything I was just telling you about, all the hurdles that they have to do. Just wanting to alleviate as much stress as we possibly can. Buying the right truck, it's a huge decision. And so we take that very seriously, and we just want to make sure that, we're very, transparent about what they can expect from us as a dealer. And even though it's unpopular, it's extremely critical. We tell them what not to expect, because everybody needs to know, and our customers deserve to know what they're signing up for. And so when I guess, what do I do to help them? My part, I don't feel like I do a lot after, they're they're on their haul source, they're making money, they're driving down the road. That's all them. I don't have any part of that. But I do feel that, my value is by helping at least the initial process get going.
No, I think that's a good way of kind of describing it. And as your role, you're training a lot of our guys out in the field. You're trying to help set that standard across the board for our entire company, because, we do all strive to help, people understand, and be set up immediately for success. And then, like, just from my perspective, Seth, I think that's one thing that you've been really good about, is helping set that standard across the board for our company. I've always really appreciated that. The interesting thing about you, Seth, and I've worked with you in a lot of different ways over I've been here for almost 8 years. So I've worked with you in a lot of variety of different ways, and you've had a lot of different hats here at this company and in the trucking industry. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background with the trucking industry, when you got in, what jobs you've had, and kind of just, your career arc through the trucking industry to this point.
Oh, man. Well, I started with Arrow in Atlanta as a sales rep. I got the job because it was right around the housing crisis situation. I had owned a company doing evictions and foreclosures for the government. And obviously when that happened, there was different laws that were put in place that was great for a lot of people to stay in their homes. However, for me, I was one of those guys that was negatively affecting my business, went under in like 24 hours. I mean, it just went from 250 properties a month to 0 with an overnight email. So a little devastating. And never really, before then, I'd never even considered semis or anything. And my neighbor happened to work at Arrow, and he said it was a great place to work. And he liked the not just the manager and the style and everything, but he also liked the vision of the company. And so I'll try it out. And so I started with Atlanta in sales. Struggled mightily my first couple years in. And I have paperwork to prove that I struggled mightily the first couple years in. And, it was a change, big change, a lot of things to absorb, kind of like the same thing for our customers going from company driver to owner operator. Sure. It's just a lot of things to consider that, people can tell you, but it just takes your mind a little bit to wrap around it. And I guess mine is super slow and it took me longer. But you know what? Finally, I figured out what my biggest problem was, is that I was so focused on, I got to sell a truck and I got to make sure that I do this and I got to make sure that I'm getting this done with a deal. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, I read a book and it said that if you're only focused on your own objectives, you're not actually ever going to reach your goals. You have to have your goals have to be centered around the other's position. And it's amazing how much things changed when all of a sudden it wasn't about selling the trucks. It was about how many people can we help? How are we actually helping? And are we making their lives better? Are we not making their lives better? Is the way I'm acting, is the way I'm speaking as a salesman, is that helping them in the long run or not? And it was hard for me because I'm not a direct guy by nature, and I hated confrontations, the whole sick to the stomach thing. But I learned, and it's amazing how shortly after that, the next couple of years, that things started changing. It's amazing how when you focus on other people's success, you're okay, like you get that taken care of. But shortly after that, I had the opportunity to go to Houston, and I was there in Houston as a sales manager for about 6 months. Got to work with an incredible team. Still talk to a lot of those guys today. Just a great group of people. And really kind of my heart kind of changed a little bit to, man, you know what? I wish everybody in our organization found what I found and what helped me. And so I moved from Houston. I was there for 6 months, moved to St. Louis and as the branch manager for about 4 years. An incredible transformation there in that office. And again, I'm still best friends with everybody that's there. Love those guys to death. But we built the culture in that branch around the customer and around trying to get a part of their world. Because the truth is, you and I can always speculate on what our customers are going through. They actually know what they're going through. They experience it. And so we kind of built this culture around really, and we know what we do. But what is it about you? What about your situation? And anyway, it just like before, it helped the customers. The customers felt like they were listened to, and we got to actually help them give suggestions based on other feedback we had got from other customers because we listened, and it ended up just kind of that snowball effect. And it kind of created a really cool atmosphere there. So I was in St. Louis for about 4 years. Came over here to Kansas City about 2 years ago, and to be the director of training and development. Kent, I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know if I know what I'm doing. For sure, there are days where I don't feel qualified to do it, but we have an incredible team at our company. I know every company will say that, but it is cool that I get the opportunity to have a more of a personal relationship with every person that works here. And, there's times, and just like anytime you have 100, 200 people, weighing in on a subject, there's always going to be disagreements, but that doesn't take anything away from their value and their strength. And honestly, the differences are our strength. But the one thing I can tell you I try to do here is try to really instill that culture of why. We know what we do, but why do we do it? We do it to be able to have the opportunity to be part of our customer story.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way of putting it. And, I guess I want to follow up to that is, we saw, you saw, how taking such a customer centric approach really led to success in St. Louis. How satisfying was it to see that working? And then how excited have you been to carry that perspective, that approach over to your job, leading a lot of our training nationally? How satisfying has it been for that to see success, and how has it manifested itself, with your new job here at Arrow?
Sure. To answer your first question about in St. Louis, it is a blast when everybody, is on that same page. I think the thing that holds some people back from doing that is that if we're focused on the customer's agenda, that means that we can't be focused on our agenda. And in the short term, sometimes it does seem to sting, but man, oh man, you sleep better at night knowing that you did the right thing for the customers that you serve, And so we did try to make that, just our focus. Every time we'd get frustrated, like, oh my gosh, but we had to do right by the customer. And you know what? It paid off. It always does. Doing the right thing always does in the end. And to the second point about coming over here, my job didn't change, but I guess the focus did in a way. Because as a manager in St. Louis, the focus was the customer. And now that I'm in this position, the focus is my customer, which is everybody I work with. And but the focus is still the same. What can I do to help them, get to their goals, to bring them success? How can we work together? How can we, And so like the focus hadn't changed a bit. It's just the direction of the arrow did.
Right. You're still, it's still that customer centric focus. It's just now your job is to help develop the initiative by our field to help kind of promote and extend that process, right? I think that's a fair way of saying it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so you've been in the industry for over 10 years now, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
What's the biggest difference in the trucking industry now from when you started?
Well, everything.
No, it's a good answer. Seriously.
When I started with Arrow, you still had that generation of drivers and they were known as like the watchmen of the United States. They were the guardians of the highway, and it was kind of like a more small controlled group. And they talk about the days when, getting a new set of tires around the truck was only $1,500. Today, we all know that is, so that we have more of a diverse, industry, and I think that's awesome. But we have the different generations. Now you have guys that they don't want to really be on the CB all the time and talk like they used to. They communicate, differently. But those are the small things. The biggest thing, Kent, honestly, that I've seen change is the cost of ownership and the target moves a lot quicker today than what it did, or at least it appeared to when I first started. Trucks are more complex. As our fight to have the clean air, and our fight to be the most fuel efficient trucks out there.
Right.
Everything, it just becomes more complex. The cost of ownership kind of goes up with that complexity, and so that's one thing. But honestly, the moving target, man, with the internet kind of coming into a full force with a lot of load boards and dispatch, the target moves on spot rates, on what our customers have available. There's more competition for the prized lanes to be able to have that, it's more of a competitive nature today. And so it really takes unfortunately for somebody, it takes a lot more hustle from our customers to be able to get out there and get what what they deserve. They have to fight for it a lot harder.
No doubt about that. And, this year has been different. There's been a lot of just challenges with the pandemic. Just a few things, Seth. I know you've kind of been living under a rock lately, but it's good to see you back out, by the way. But this year, we've seen a lot of changes in the trucking industry. We've seen just a lot of changes in all of our lives. What do you think within the industry, from your perspective, has changed so significantly within the last year?
I think the one thing, and I'm not sure if it was last March or April, but I wore it as a badge of honor for our customers, is that with every negative thing that happens, there's always a positive that you can look for. And sometimes it's hard to find it. But the one positive thing that I thought was really cool was when this whole thing started and they're talking about essential workers and they're shutting down all this stuff. They relied 100% on the customers that we serve. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Some of our customers that I got a chance to know their story in the very beginning, they're the ones doing it. And so no matter if you're talking about like getting the vaccines out, anything that is in a store is brought by our customers and people that drive trucks. And without them, the truth is everybody said, oh no, our economy, and oh no, our country. Man, as long as there's truck drivers on the road, we got a fighting chance, a heck of a good fighting chance. And so that was probably the cool thing I've seen. So with that recognition, and this is kind of more for the people that that probably have seen it, man, with that recognition, everything jumped. And that was like a moment of insecurity for a lot of people with jobs and things like that. It was so cool to see that in the midst of that devastating, issue, and we're still going through it, there was an opportunity for our customers to actually exceed any of their preset expectations for last year. It was cool to be a part of it.
It was really, one of the things I was kind of just noticing throughout this year is just really cool to see that truck drivers got to be, kind of come into the front of the, of the perception and, the focal point of, people really started paying attention to the value of the truck driver, and this is one of the most thankless jobs out there. And this is something that's really been cool for me to learn over time, is just to see, how much we rely on this industry, and how much just in our day-to-day lives, how critical it is, and as part of what's happening. Right. But you look at, but think about it. If we didn't have the trucking industry, we'd always have a toilet paper shortage.
Yeah. It would be rough. It would be rough. But no, I think that was the positives that came out of it. And it was kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen it. There was news 24/7. It seemed like it was on, this last year. There was I think a picture of a couple of Volvos in front of the White House. And they would like to thank our truck drivers. And I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, man. I loved seeing them get the recognition because, we get to hear from a lot of these guys. And it's not lost on us necessarily that, how important and how thankless of a job it is. It's not lost on us, but I think it is lost on a lot of people. So getting them kind of to be in the forefront was really, and I think that's still the case. We're still there's still such a necessity right now. And I think they're still getting that kind of deserved attention, and hopefully they get more, it is not easy what these guys do. It really isn't.
And some of them actually, they had to pivot Guys that were used to, having that lane, or like down in Texas, some guys working down there, and all of a sudden, oh no, I'm done for. I got 30 trucks that are just sitting here. And all of a sudden I watched a lot of those companies pivot and say, you know what, there's an absolute demand for freight. We just have to pivot and do something different. Mm-hmm. And then now talking to them, they're like, we're so happy we don't have all our eggs in one basket anymore. Now we can do this, and now we can do this. And so in the midst of a lot of turbulence, there's an opportunity for growth and change. And a lot of people capitalized on that. A lot of our customers did.
Yeah, some innovations there, and some pivoting. And I do think that there will be some healthy things that come out of this for the trucking industry specifically, for sure, Seth, like 100% in agreement with you there. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about owner operators. Okay. One of the, it's that's one of the places that we really service a lot of people. We service a lot of guys that are, wanting to go from being a company driver to jumping out and being their own man or woman. And one of the things I just wanted to ask you is, as you're observing so many, people lately in this industry, in this market, what are the biggest fears, or what do you think the biggest fear is today for a driver wanting to become an owner operator?
I ask that question a lot to customers, when I hear them call and then they say, hey, I've been thinking about getting a truck. And my question is, how long? And you hear everything from 6 months to 5 years. And it makes me curious. I'm like, well, what's been holding you back, or why has this been such a long process? And it really does vary. Sure. Situation. It could be that the fact that they just simply, their haul source might just be so inconsistent sometimes that it's hard for them to save to be able to start their own business, which, man, I get that. That's painful. And then I also see people that are scared because as a company driver, if the truck has a problem or if things don't go well, they've got like this protection, or they should have this protection of people that, oh, that truck broke down, don't worry about it. We got this other truck right here for you. Continue on. And there's minimal risk when it comes to that. And then your W-2, and then you might have some benefits and all these things. And then when you make the jump from that company driver, that kind of a protected kind of a deal, to jumping out and saying there is no protection, it's 100% on me. I'm not just the owner, I'm the operator, I'm the worker, I'm also the bill keeper, I'm also the accountant, I'm also this. Now, granted, there are definitely drivers that, and they kind of joke and they say mom kind of handles the office work and everything. That's great, but not everybody has that. But it takes an incredible amount of drive. And so I think their fear is that, they know how to drive a truck, but this is not just driving a truck. In fact, if you know how to drive a truck, that's only part of the equation to being successful. You have to learn where to go, what times of the year. There's just a huge learning curve that you have to kind of absorb that you wouldn't have to as a company driver. So I think, honestly, if you were to ask what keeps people from doing it, I think almost, and I hate to even say this because I haven't been a driver, almost like a fear of the unknown kind of keeps a lot of people from moving forward.
No, I think that's fair. And I think you could ask somebody at any point in the last 30 years, and I think that would be a lot of it. And obviously there's a lot of tools out there nowadays that can really help some of these drivers. And I'm sure we'll talk to some of the people that can help provide those tools as we do this show, down the road. Which I think is it's a valuable, there's a lot of different ways to help these guys or these guys to help themselves. But I get it. It doesn't matter even, how many tools, there's still going to be some times and some, fear of the unknown, because this is, you got to take calculated risks in life, but I understand why some people, may be a little bit hesitant to make that big jump. And, I think one of the things, and this isn't just us trying to, pat ourselves on the back, because there's great companies out there that can help too. But, I think we've kind of prided ourselves in trying to provide people, as much level of comfort as they can, trying to make that transition, with, all the services we provide and the stability that our company has and the trucks we purchase. I mean, I think that's been a big piece of why we have, as a company, have stuck around for, 70 plus years, and why we operate the way we operate.
No, I agree. It's no, you're kind of saying every company out there. The truth is, every company out there would say that they're the best, or they have the best quality, or they do things the best. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, if you hung up with me right now and you and I were to call 10 dealerships, they would all say that they're the best, and they would all say, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so really, when I think and what I'm proud to be a part of is that what sets us apart is our purpose to the mission, and it's the mission is our customer success. Not sometimes, people get so, I got to have exactly this, and we got to look for exactly this. But the truth is, their success is our success, not necessarily, every other little thing in there. And so when you say their success is our success, then the next question is, okay, so then what's not my job? If my purpose is to do that, then it's our job to do everything that we can to remove every bullet out of that chamber and to answer any of those unknowns, But at the end, and Ken, I mean, I think everybody would agree with this. It's not just a truck. Even if the truck is perfect from us, that doesn't guarantee success, And right. It's like a good mix of, you have to have the right truck. Yeah, you have to have the right work ethic, and you have to have the right understanding and knowledge. But the haul source also plays a critical role in that, or making sure that, those lanes are available. And I've seen really good people with the best of intentions, did things the right way, and there were still the variables of the unknown with their haul source, or trying to find loads at a specific time that, man, it just knocked the wind right out of them.
No, for sure. And I mean, like I said, we do everything we can to try to help driver success. And there's a lot of things and a lot of companies we've partnered with and all that kind of stuff that has kind of helped that in a lot of ways. But you're right. There are some things that we aren't a haul source, I mean, there's just some things that, we can't be a part of, but
we do partner with several haul sources options.
Yeah.
We do. And I don't have a relationship with everyone, but I do have a relationship with some. And really, one of the first things I look for is what's their attitude toward the driver. And depending on their answer, there is kind of determines whether we want to be a partner of that or not, But we've got some great partners out there, so we can help with haul sources, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect fit for the customer.
Right.
So again, going back to our customers, what their vision of success is, and maybe we can help, and maybe we don't have that advice.
Sure. No, for sure. And I want to just ask you this. Our new motto around here at Aero Truck Sales is clear, simple, used truck buying.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you? What have you seen from this company that helps us live to that standard?
It's a deep philosophical question right there.
I know. I'm bringing it on thick here today, Seth.
You are. I can give you the cliche answer, and that's just the way we want to do business. Or the truth of the matter is, those words are not words. It's a mindset. It's a focus, and when your focus is centered around that, in alignment with your focus in your mind, your actions and behaviors should follow. And so our aim as a company is to be able to provide that for our customers. We absolutely know that there are a million things hitting the plate quickly. And anything we can do to alleviate some of that stress, we want to do it. And, the way that we do it is, yes, we believe that we have a great quality, piece of equipment. Yes, it's used. Yes, there's times where, maybe there's something that needs to be fixed or corrected, for sure. It's just part of the game. But what we do and what we offer is, hey, we can kind of be, in a way, a one-stop shop to be able to get the truck, and more importantly, to protect the business for years to come. And for some of our customers that might need financing, we've got that, and we've got a lender that is aggressive, and they're not tied to specific credit scores being over this or that, but our lender actually looks at the story of the customer. And I appreciate that, because sometimes numbers don't tell the story. And so I love the fact that we're willing to say, okay, numbers don't really add up, but that's okay. What's the story? What happened here? And I love the fact that we have a lender that's willing to do that. So, with that and that alignment, we want our customer success. We're able to offer financing terms that, payments that are absolutely affordable, where they can make a really good amount of money, and their cost of ownership is a little bit lower than going to, a new truck, or God forbid, like a lease truck where they're paying $3,000 to $4,000 a month for, when they add everything up. Like, we can help big time. And so the bottom line profit right there is just exciting to me to kind of be a part. So between the truck, between the protection that we offer, and between our financing, I mean, man, it really, I feel really good when a customer leaves here, and so that mixed with setting clear expectations, like we talked about when we first began, you mix all that together, and you're doing everything, not to sell a truck, but you're doing everything to create the environment for success for our customer. Results for them change. And when their results change, ours do too.
One of the things when I look at our company and I see the people within the building is, we really work hard to try to eliminate as many barriers as we can to helping these guys become successful. And I think one of the cool things is seeing the customers that we work with and the people that we ultimately sell to leaving our lot with confidence, and I think that's something that it's been really cool to see, as I've been around this industry, and, I've got to see the people we're working with as a company, and man, I think that's one of the most rewarding things and that's, I think that's the whole thing is Clear Simple Used Truck Buying is trying to set the expectation and be effective communicators, but also do everything we can to make sure that person leaves our lot feeling like they've got a good truck and a truck that's going to help them make money and ultimately be successful. That's how I look at it. And I think, it'll be fun to kind of talk to people like you, Seth, throughout this whole show. But also I'm really excited to see what, people outside the industry, all the companies and stuff that we're working with, that we have all these connections with.
The real heroes.
I mean, I think this is going to be a fun venture, but Seth, I really wanted to make sure to thank you for being the first person to jump on. I really enjoyed getting to hear from you. I hope people get an opportunity to listen to this and enjoyed listening to you too. So if you have anything else you want to say, by all means.
Ben, no, I appreciate the opportunity. And, I don't think anything I said was like news to anybody, but I really enjoyed being able to kind of give the mindset behind our dealership. And that's something that I never get tired of talking about. I wear it proudly. So thank you for the opportunity, Ken.
Man, I appreciate your passion. I love hearing you talk and kind of talk about, what you value. Cause I mean, you live it out, man. I really appreciate that. That is going to do it for the first episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to check out what we've got on the YouTube page of the Aero Truck Sales YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe to the pod. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week.